I live on the Hawkesbury, so as a chef, I'm interested in what great seafood I can access from its waters. John Susman is a well-respected seafood judge, commentator and author. John is also on the Fisheries Research and Development Corporation, which really keeps him across the latest seafood trends. He's going to reveal a fish that is delicious, local and sustainable, but is often totally overlooked: mullet. So John, why is mullet so unloved?
Poor old mullet. It gets a bit of a bad rap, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
But look, because it's a bottom-dwelling fish and it tends to eat weed and engorges a lot of mud, and when the mullet are sort of muddied, the fishermen don't get much money for them, and therefore they don't put much effort into looking after them properly. But this time of the year, autumn, winter, the mullet is beautiful. And in fact, it's this time of the year that the mullet are making their way up in the ocean, and they're coming up the New South Wales coastline, so they're out in the open ocean coming into the estuaries to spawn.
Yeah.
And so they're very clean and really light in flavour.
So this is also a good time to get the roe out of them too, isn't it?
Absolutely. The females are rowed up, and of course that's an absolute treat. You know, you can salt it and cure it and turn it into bataga, which is an amazing sort of
Italian delicacy.
Absolutely.
There's one thing that I'm really interested in with oily fish, and when we catch oily fish, they smell amazing when they first come out, but how many days does it actually take for them to start to get that smell that we're thinking?
Yeah, so you're right, they are oily, they're very oily fish. Yeah. It also means that they rancidify quite quickly. So it's that first hour of how the fish is handled by the fisherman that really makes the difference. If the fisherman gets it into ice and brings the temperature down really quickly and stops that rancidification of the fat or the oil in the flesh, then it's absolutely no problem for a week's shelf life.
So sustainability of mullet, it probably is the most sustainable fish that we can catch, isn't it?
Well, Marty, there's a number of reasons for that. It has a very short lifespan, and it has a lot of babies. So in terms of it actually being reproductive, it's perfect. It's the sort of fish we want to really look at. They also are part of the food chain where it actually eats weeds and phytoplankton as against eating other fish. Yeah. So again, it's in that sort of part of the food chain that makes it...
So it's a vegetarian fish?
Pretty much. You know, it is a bit of a scavenger, but generally it's eating, you know, roots and leaves and detritus from the sea floor, from the river floor. And therefore, it actually is a very sustainable fish. The other element of it, of course, is the fact that because it's not as popular as, say, salmon and tuna and snapper, the demand isn't there. So it sits on the right side of the J curve in terms of being sustainable.
Mm-hmm. Is local fish better than imported fish?
Great question, great question. I mean, we are a 75% net importer of seafood in this country, which means that, you know, 3 out of 4 seafood meals consumed in Australia comprise primarily of an imported seafood.
Do you think that's surprising?
Look, you know, when you look at the size of the country and you look at the amount of water that we have surrounding the country, you say, wow, how can that be? But look, we are the driest continent on the planet, so we don't have a lot of food coming off the landmass into the waterways. And as a result, whilst we cover a lot of regions from tropic to Arctic, there's not a lot of fish in the sea, so to speak, in our waters. Yeah.
So cooking mullet, we've sort of gone through the muddiness and oiliness. I mean, you know, is it best quickly fried or?
I actually really like it crispy skinned. You know, on a hot plate. Yeah. Lots of salt. And because it's oily fish, it can take a load of salt. And with a really simple accompaniment like a squeeze of lemon. But I've eaten your beautiful curry that you do, and it's just delicious in that format as well. It's actually surprisingly quite versatile.
So the value for money question.
Mullet. I mean, it doesn't get better. I mean, you can't spend $10 and not feed a family of 4 with mullet. It's that good a value.
John, it's really been great talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge.
Always a pleasure, Marty.
Well, with all this talk of mullet, I'm inspired to prove how good it can be. So I'm going to have a cook-off with my chef Marco to see if we can create a couple of delicious mullet recipes and lure people to enjoy this unloved fish.